Well, today I'm going to the Flowood Flea Market. It's the last weekend this flea market is going to be in existence. It's going to be a memory after this weekend. They've actually lost their lease, and it's been in business for about 15 years. And now they're moving to Canton, Mississippi, which is a little far for me to go to the flea market. So I wanted to go in here and see what all they had, see if they have some good sales or some clearances before they close their doors. Well, I made this video on December 28th, 2025, and it's the last day of the Flowood Flea Market and Antique Mall. Now, this flea market is huge. It looks like it's in an old airplane hangar, which I don't think it is, but it's that big. And this place has had thousands of visitors throughout the years, and it actually had a lot of people here this weekend since it was the last day. Now, when you walk in, it's usually $1 to get in, but they had free admission this last month, I think, just to let people come in and try to help the vendors move some of their stuff out. Now, we all know the best way to move stuff out is to market cheap. First, when I walked in, I found these weird paintings and a big booty there to welcome me. The next booth had everything marked for $5. It looked like just a big pile of hot mess, basically. But if you looked around, you could find a couple good things. It had pretty much been picked over. But I did find this cool vintage metal magazine rack. It's only $5, and I was thinking about getting it, but I'm not sure yet. Now, a lot of the flea market vendors had already moved out. It was pretty vacant. You can see they've taken all the jewelry out of the cases and everything. But there were a couple die-hard vendors that are keeping their booth open until the last day to get those last sales. And I noticed this thing right here in the back corner is a huge bar. If you had like a mansion, like a super big house, this would be perfect. It was so beautiful, but I didn't see a price. I saw somebody's Christmas crown they were trying to sell. And then this vendor had some old vintage Bradley dolls. Now, my mom loved Bradley dolls, so I do pick those up every now and then when I see them at a good price. And then there's a different one, but some of their faces were kind of messed up. I love the old couple dolls. We see those a lot at flea markets. And then this painting really grabbed my attention. It's from 1965. And then the vendor told me he had this box of old dolls down here, and I was going to look through them. I saw a Marie Osmond doll for $1. Everything's $1 in this box, so I'm probably going to dig through it a little bit and see what all I can find. Can't go wrong for $1. Now, he had a couple boxes of dolls, and a lot of them were broken, and you could buy them just for the parts, like maybe if your doll needed an arm or a leg. It's actually a good idea if you do have a pretty valuable doll that needs an arm. Well, I did end up getting a pretty good stack of dolls, and I'm going to show you at the end of the video which ones I got. And I got basically a whole box of them for just $10. So I'm going to keep some of them for the toy museum and probably sell a couple at our flea market booth. There's some kind of display made of painted gold records, and this is just to show you how empty some of the booths were at this point. Some of it looked like a tornado had already hit it, but I feel sorry for these vendors having to move all this stuff. You know that's going to be a chore. Got to be a labor of love. Now, almost all the vendors had 50% off, or a couple of them only had 25% off, but you got to watch a couple of these vendors because they have that 50% off sale all the time. But I did see a couple little treasures here and there, but I was kind of selective in what I bought. I love those 80s unicorn bookends. Those were pretty cool. But this is just to show you, it was just everybody's packing up. One of the vendors told me they had to have everything packed up by the 11th of the month. So they've got about 2 more weeks to get all their goodies out. Now, this table was pretty cool. I couldn't tell if that was a $7 table or a $2 table. So I went and found the owner, and it was a $1 table. So I'm definitely going to grab some goodies off this table. I'm most likely going to get those cheerleaders and repaint one of them. Now, some of the booths didn't look like they had anybody running the booth, so I didn't ask, and a couple of them had phone numbers to call if you wanted to buy something. Love this old Pepsi machine. I remember back in the 70s when you got your drink out of that kind of machine. Now, this vendor had those cool 3D laser printed animals. I love these. I think they're so cool. And this snake, I had the video. It is so detailed. I've never seen one that detailed. Now, they had a bunch of toys and plush, and they were decently priced, but I've seen a couple of these things on Temu that were a little bit cheaper. But hey, everybody's got to make a living. I love this old Mickey Mouse phone. I collect old phones. I collect almost everything that's toy related. And when I open the toy museum, you'll see that. This sign is really cute, but if you have the right friends, you don't have to worry because they will laugh at you. All right, they still had that big game vendor in the back, just full of old video games. I found this little cookie jar in a little corner that's so cute. Then I found a whole shelf of Garfield collectibles. I love Garfield. And then if you need a medieval sword, they had those as well. Then I found a whole little cubbyhole section of anime and South Park. I had to check on those South Park characters. Those are so cute, but they weren't priced, and I didn't want to ask. Here's one of those RIP little unicorns. I had a whole wall of Funko Pops. I'm trying not to buy too many of those because I have so many for the toy museum. And then they had regular toys, and all their toys were 50% off. So I'm definitely going to look closely through all this and see if I can pick up a couple goodies for the toy museum. I'm always a big sucker for toys. I think a lot of the toys at this booth were fairly priced, and then when you get to take the 50% off, you did get a good deal on some of them and then a fair price for some of them. But here's some more of what it looked like. Like I said, it was a hot mess in certain spots, but that's what you get sometimes when you go to the flea market. That's part of the fun, looking for that little treasure. All right, it's time. Let's see what all I picked up at the flea market on the last day of business. All right, this was the most expensive item I bought. It was $21 and it's worth about $35. I'm keeping that for the toy museum. I thought it was too cute to pass up and it'll look good somewhere. Now it had an inscription on the back that said "To Janet Brown from Paw Gibson from 1965. I bought a couple of these little gourds. They were 50 cents each because I'm going to make a fall wreath I need to fix up to sell at my flea market booth, so really won't price those. These were 50 cents each, and these are heavy. They're wooden pieces of fruit, so I'll sell those at my flea market booth for about $2 each. And I got a little doll stand. I won't count that. I got this little Avatar figure. It's an old Happy Meal toy. It was 50 cents, worth about $4. I'll keep that. Got this little milk glass bud vase for $1. I'll sell that at the flea market booth for about $6.50. And then I got these tall candle holders. They need a good bath. I'm going to clean them up really good, but it's not something I would normally buy from my flea market booth, but they were only $1 each, so I can sell these probably for about $12 or $13 at my flea market. All right, I got this little Anna and Elsa frozen little cottage or castle with all the figures. It was $20, marked down to $10. It's worth about $30. I got some woodsy hippos and some woodsy turtles. These were $7.50 each, and they're worth about $15 each. But I hadn't seen those with the plastic heads before. I did get this little RIP unicorn for $5, and it's worth about $12. And then I did get those ceramic cheerleaders. I think I'm going to repaint this one as an African-American cheerleader. And once I repaint her, she'll be worth about $20. And then this one just needs a little touch-up. She has a chipped foot I need to repair. And then she'll be worth about $20. And those were just $1 each. This whole box for $10. And this Bradley doll by herself, I would value it about $8. And then I got some of those old vintage 60 dolls where their eyes open and close. She needs a good cleaning. But these were just basically $1 each. But I think those are worth about $4 each. Got this little souvenir travel doll for $1. She's probably worth about, I'd say $4 or $5. Got this little mini dad figure to one of the old vintage doll houses. He's worth about $5. And then I got a couple of these beanbag dolls. These are from the mid-70s. And I got a Marie Osmond doll for $1. I'll sell her for about $4 at the booth because somebody cut her hair. And then I got this old Candy doll. She just needs a bath. She's worth about $5. I'll keep her. Here's another one of those beanbag dolls. They were $1 each. And I'm going to sell these at the booth for about $6 each. So from the 70s. This is a Susie Goes Camping Flatsy doll from the 70s. She's worth $8. And this little vintage troll candy dispenser is worth $3. Well, I spent a total of $71 and some change. So the items I'm keeping for the toy museum are worth about $193, so I more than doubled my money. And the few things I'm going to resell at my flea market booth are worth about $43, so I got about half of my money back. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these videos. Actually, most of my videos are valuing my toy collection as I'm getting ready to open up a toy museum called the Toy Vault of Mississippi. It'll be opening up in the latter part of 2026 in downtown Crystal Springs, Mississippi. So make sure you come and see me once it's open. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please think about doing so because it certainly helps us grow. We're already up to 2,300 subscribers and we're very thankful. So until our next video, we will see you then.